Yes, I am ready.
Great. Toastmaster Saumendu, path less traveled. Path less traveled, Toastmaster Saumendu.
I live in Kalapahar area. When I returned back from my workplace, that is Arya Hospital, I have two routes. The short and straight one goes through Sarabhati. 20 years back, when I started my professional life, driving through that road was like sitting on camel's hump, an orthopedic nightmare. Then there was the other route, the long, lonely, dark, desolate, deserted one through Kahilipara. Every evening, I used to wallow in the misery of choosing one path over another. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I faced the same predicament when Pathways was first rolled out. I oscillated and vacillated unsteadily between the more familiar yet taxing traditional circuit and the unfamiliar, unknown, unexplained, unexplored pathways, ultimately settling for the path less traveled. I wasted 6 months there. My journey through pathways has been a journey of stumbling and staggering, limping and crawling, sipping and swallowing, till I reached here around 2 years later, minutes away from completing my first path. It was a journey of small and big achievements, struggles and obstacles, learning and self-discovery. Let me first share with you what I could achieve in this last couple of years in Toastmasters. With the warm wishes and support of my club members, I could proudly represent our club at the district finals of International Speech Contest in 2019 and also reached the division level in the same category in 2020. If these were some of the achievements to cherish from individual front, it was equally satisfying to lead a 5-member team on a research study in my high performance leadership project at level 5, where we could achieve 5 times our target. If these were some of the important achievements inside Toastmasters, there were few outside as well. Being passionate about mentoring, I developed the courage and confidence to share my knowledge with the outside world. Along with DTM Rita Harlalka, I started my journey as a speech coach. And believe me, it has been an incredible voice so far with the young minds. Now coming to my struggles and obstacles. Though I started my journey on pathways with inertia of indecision, but once initiated, I was galloping till I reached a major roadblock at level 4. There, I took a long pause of 8 months. Among many histories in this club, I too joined in making another history, and this time a dubious one. Failing to complete my project at one go, I became the first member to repeat a project in Pathways. It was, now since I joined Toastmasters around 4.5 years back, I always wanted Toastmasters to flourish in this region. I wanted more clubs to come up in this region. With that in mind, I delivered my first speech at level 4 with the aim of forming a new advanced Toastmaster club in Guwahati. But as dual membership was required with additional financial burden, I could not convince people to form that club. I failed, but refused to buckle as I chose an alternative route. To reduce that financial burden, I decided to form another club by the name of Guwahati Tea Toastmasters, thereby shifting few members from this club to that club. In this process, I formed a public relation committee with Toastmaster Nisha and Toastmaster Neha. But I failed again. And this time, due to emotional reasons, as I could not convince members to shift because they were highly attached to this club, the Toastmaster Club of Guwahati, and rightly so. Then one day, I was having a chit-chat with Toastmaster Gaurav and Toastmaster Abhijit after our meeting in Hotel Atithi. Dear Toastmaster Gaurav remarked, "Hey doc, why don't you change your project? Better get a move on." After a lot of deliberation, I decided to start afresh. But unabashedly, it was a painful decision. I planned another project, and this time a project close to my heart, a project on mentoring. I repeated my first page at level 4 again. And then, after completing that project, delivered the second one. My journey got some momentum back. After a month, the pandemic reached Guwahati. The physical meetings stopped. Though I was attending the Zoom meetings, but I was sitting idle. I lost interest and I lost the human touch. Then one fine day, I approached Toastmaster Neha. I texted her, "Hi, I'm in a quandary. I have lost all interest in Zoom meetings. I can't concentrate beyond 5 minutes. Do you have any suggestions?" And she replied, "Something special." She said, "Hi doc, why don't you take up some roles? Maybe grammarian. Once you force yourself to listen, you will become accountable." And rightly so. I started attending meetings only when I am able to take up roles, and I limp back. Now coming to my third phase, the phase of learning and self-discovery. From numerous evaluations received from the evaluators in this journey, coupled with experiences both sweet and sour, I could identify my strengths as well as weaknesses. If I understood my strength as a planner and motivator, I understood my weaknesses with 2 P's, my 2 stumbling blocks, my deficit in my toolbox. The first P is pronunciation. Few evaluators have told me that you have a strong mother tongue influence in your pronunciation. Now, there is an old adage which says, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And that might be partially true. It's so difficult to unlearn old habits and relearn new ones. But as Napoleon Hill once said, your only limitation is one you set up in your mind. With that quote in mind, I started practicing pronunciation 1 hour each day. And I can say with some conviction that I have improved to a certain extent. Coming to the second P, if I understood my proficiency in inspiration, I understood my deficiency in persuasion. So far, I have failed 3 times in my attempt to form a new club in Guwahati. And I see this as a weakness in my persuasive power. To mend this weakness, I have decided to take up persuasive influence as my next path in pathways. And hopefully, I shall be lucky enough at my 4th time. Now, moving ahead with my goals in Toastmasters, I shall continue to work vigorously in the area I love most, is mentoring new members and a new generation, both inside and outside Toastmasters. Today, I have a long list of people to pay my gratitude. Of course, top of the list comes my evaluators, who have painstakingly evaluated my speeches and made me a better speaker. My mentor, DTM Rita Harlalka, my mentees, my project partners, Toastmaster Siddharth, Toastmaster Richika, Toastmaster Monica, and how can I forget those 3 enthusiastic Toastmasters from whom I learned the magic of enthusiasm? Toastmaster Vikash Agarwal, Toastmaster Ankit Khandelwal, and Toastmaster Kaushik Barua. Friends, Toastmasters is all about refining and redefining ourselves. The path of innovative planning has taught me to refocus, replan, reorganize our thoughts when changed circumstances blocks our view. I shall preserve these memories, but won't cling to them, as there are new memories to be created and cherished as I move into a new path. Over to you, Toastmaster.